Hello and welcome. Take a deep breath. You've just taken the first and often most difficult step on a journey that has the power to reshape your future. This is the ultimate beginner's guide to financial literacy, designed specifically for you. Perhaps you're here because you feel a nagging sense of anxiety when you think about money. Maybe you feel like you're working hard, but you're stuck on a treadmill, never quite getting ahead. Or perhaps the world of finance, with its jargon like 401k, Roth IRAs, credit scores, and diversification, feels like a completely foreign language that you were never taught. If any of that sounds familiar, know this: you are not alone. And more importantly, you are in the right place. Over the next 15 chapters, we are going to embark on a journey together. This isn't about get-rich-quick schemes or complicated strategies reserved for Wall Street bankers. This is about building a solid foundation, brick by brick. It's about empowerment. It's about trading confusion for clarity and anxiety for confidence. Our goal is to give you the fundamental knowledge you need to understand your own financial situation and to make informed decisions that align with your personal goals. But before we dive in, it is critically important for us to state the following, and we will remind you of this principle throughout our series. The content provided in this guide is for educational and informational purposes only. We are not financial advisors, investment professionals, tax experts, or legal attorneys. The information shared here is not, and should not be considered, personal financial advice, investment advice, legal advice, or tax advice. The financial landscape is complex and deeply personal. Your individual circumstances are unique. Therefore, we strongly encourage you to consult with a qualified and licensed professional, such as a certified financial planner, a tax advisor, or an attorney, before making any financial decisions. Our purpose is to educate and empower you with knowledge, so you can have more productive conversations with those professionals and make choices with a greater sense of understanding. This guide is a map, but a qualified professional is your personal navigator. With that essential understanding in place, let's begin with the most basic question. What exactly is financial literacy? In simple terms, financial literacy is the ability to understand and effectively use various financial skills, including personal financial management, budgeting, and investing. Think of it like learning the rules of a game. If you try to play a sport without knowing the rules, you'll likely feel lost, frustrated, and you probably won't win. Money is a part of the game of life. Being financially literate means you understand the rules. It doesn't guarantee you'll win every time, but it dramatically increases your chances of success and makes the game far less stressful. Financial literacy covers 5 main pillars, and we will explore each of these in depth in later chapters. These are: earning. This is how money comes into your life. It's your income, whether from a job, a side hustle, or a business. But it's also about understanding your paycheck, your taxes, and your benefits. Saving and investing. This is about setting money aside for future goals. Saving is typically for short-term goals and emergencies, while investing is for long-term growth, like retirement. Spending and budgeting. This is the art of managing your cash flow. It's about knowing where your money is going, making conscious decisions about your spending, and creating a plan, a budget, that works for you. Borrowing. This involves using debt, like credit cards, car loans, student loans, or mortgages. Financial literacy helps you understand how debt works, the difference between good and bad debt, and how to manage it responsibly. Protecting. This is about safeguarding your financial well-being from unexpected events. This includes things like insurance, emergency funds, and protecting yourself from fraud and scams. So why does this matter so much? Why should you invest your time in learning this? Because financial literacy is not just about numbers on a spreadsheet, it's about your life. It's about freedom. It's the freedom to choose a career you love, not just one that pays the bills. It's the freedom to handle an unexpected car repair or medical bill without falling into a spiral of debt and panic. It's the freedom to dream about the future, whether that means buying a home, traveling the world, starting a family, or retiring comfortably, and having a realistic plan to get there. Lack of financial literacy, on the other hand, is a significant source of stress. It can strain relationships, impact your mental and physical health, and limit your opportunities. By building your knowledge, you are directly investing in your own well-being. Now let's address a few common myths that might be holding you back. Myth number 1. I'm just not a math person. You'll be relieved to know that financial literacy is about 80% behavior and only 20% head knowledge. The math involved in personal finance is rarely more complicated than what you learned in middle school. It's about habits, discipline, and understanding simple concepts, not about complex calculus. Myth number 2. It's too complicated and overwhelming. It can certainly feel that way when you look at everything at once. But we're not going to do that. We are going to break it down into small, manageable, bite-sized pieces. Each chapter builds on the last. All you need to do is focus on one step at a time. Myth number 3. I don't make enough money for this to matter. This is perhaps the most dangerous myth of all. Financial literacy is arguably most important for those with limited income. When every dollar counts, knowing how to manage it effectively is a superpower. The principles of budgeting, saving, and avoiding debt are universal, regardless of your income level. Throughout this series, we will provide you with clear explanations and actionable concepts. We will demystify the jargon. We will give you a framework for thinking about money in a healthy and productive way. In our next chapter, we will lay the very first stone in our foundation. Understanding your current financial position and the critical importance of your mindset. Your journey to financial confidence, to a life with less money-related stress and more intentional choices, starts right now. Thank you for being here. You've already made the most important investment, an investment in yourself. Welcome back. In our first chapter, we took the crucial first step of committing to this journey. We defined what financial literacy is and, more importantly, why it's a powerful tool for building a better life. Today we roll up our sleeves and begin the real work. But before we look at a single number, we need to start with the most powerful financial tool you possess, your mind. Our relationship with money is deeply personal and often emotional. The way we think and feel about money, our money mindset, is typically formed by a lifetime of experiences, from how our parents handled finances to the messages we absorbed from society. This mindset dictates our behavior, often in ways we don't even realize. Broadly speaking, people tend to fall into one of two mindsets. The first is a scarcity mindset. This is the belief that there is never enough. It's a feeling of constant limitation and fear. A scarcity mindset can cause you to be terrified of spending money, even on necessary things, or paradoxically, it can lead to impulsive spending out of a feeling that you should get something while you can, because it might not be there later. It's a stressful, reactive way to live. The second is an abundance mindset. This doesn't mean believing that money will magically appear. Rather, it's the belief in possibility and growth. It's seeing money not as a source of fear, but as a tool to help you achieve your goals. An abundance mindset encourages you to look for opportunities, to invest in yourself and your skills, and to approach financial planning from a place of empowerment, not panic. Our goal in this series is to help you cultivate that empowered, proactive mindset. The first step is to simply be aware of your own feelings about money. As you go through this process, just notice them, without judgment. Now, as we prepare to look at your personal financial numbers, let's quickly revisit our important reminder. This guide is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal, or tax advice. The concepts we are about to discuss are general principles. To understand how they apply to your unique situation, it is always best to consult with a qualified, licensed professional. Alright, let's get practical. You cannot create a map to your destination if you don't know where you are starting from. That's why our first task is to take a financial snapshot. This is a picture of your exact financial position at this moment in time. I need to stress one thing before we begin this exercise. This is a judgment-free zone. For many people, looking at their finances directly can bring up feelings of shame, guilt, or anxiety. Please set those feelings aside. This is not a test. There is no passing or failing grade. This is simply a data-gathering exercise. You are a detective, and you are looking for clues. The numbers are just numbers. They do not define your worth as a person. They are simply your starting line. A financial snapshot has two key components: what you own and what you owe. Let's start with the positive. What you own. In financial terms, these are called your assets. An asset is anything you own that has monetary value. Take out a piece of paper, open a new note on your phone, or create a simple spreadsheet. We're going to list them out. Common examples of assets include the money in your checking and savings accounts. Just write down the current balance. Cash on hand. Any physical cash you have. The approximate value of your vehicle. You don't need an official appraisal. You can use a website like Kelley Blue Book to get a general idea of what your car is worth. The current value of any retirement accounts, like a 401k or an IRA. Log in and find the total balance. The value of any other investments you might have, such as stocks or mutual funds outside of retirement accounts. If you are a homeowner, the estimated current market value of your home. Any other valuable items you own that you could realistically sell for cash, like expensive jewelry or collectibles. Take your time and add up the total value of everything on your list. This final number is your total assets. Now for the second part of our snapshot. What you owe. In financial terms, these are your liabilities. A liability is any debt or money that you owe to another person or institution. On the same page, make a second list for your liabilities. Common examples include the total outstanding balance on all your credit cards, the remaining balance on your student loans, the amount you still owe on your car loan, your mortgage balance if you own a home, any personal loans, medical debt, or money owed to family and friends. Again, take your time to gather these numbers. It's important to be honest and thorough. Once you have them all, add them up. This is your total liabilities. Now it's time to put the two pieces together to see the full picture. The final step is to calculate what is known as your net worth. The formula is very simple. Assets minus liabilities equals net worth. Assets, liabilities equals net worth. Calculate that number. It might be positive, it might be negative, or it might be close to zero. And here is the most important part of today's chapter. Whatever that number is, it's okay. A positive net worth means you own more than you owe. A negative net worth, which is very common for students, recent graduates, or anyone starting out with significant loans, simply means you owe more than you currently own. This number is not your grade. It is not your value. It is your starting point. That's it. For the rest of this series, our entire goal is to learn the skills and strategies that will help you make that number grow in a positive direction over time. Knowing your net worth is the equivalent of stepping on the scale before you start a fitness plan. You have to know the starting weight to measure your progress. Congratulations! You have just done something that many people are too afraid to do. You have faced your financial reality head-on. You have your starting point. You've established your "you are here" marker on the map. In our next chapter, we are going to get even more granular. We will move from the snapshot of net worth to the motion picture of your money, your cash flow. We will begin the process of tracking where your money actually goes each month, setting the stage for the most powerful tool in personal finance, the budget. You've taken a huge, brave step today. Be proud of that, and I'll see you in the next chapter. Welcome back. In our last chapter, we accomplished a monumental task. We created a financial snapshot to identify our starting point. We calculated our net worth, what we own minus what we owe, and we committed to viewing that number without judgment. That snapshot was a still photograph of our financial health. Today we're going to switch from that photo to a motion picture. We are going to explore cash flow. In the simplest terms, cash flow is the movement of money into and out of your life. Imagine your finances are like a bathtub. The water flowing in from the faucet is your income. The water going out through the drain is your expenses. If the water level is rising, you have a positive cash flow. More money is coming in than going out. If the water level is falling, you have a negative cash flow. The goal, of course, is to keep the water level steadily rising over time, giving you more resources to achieve your goals. You might be thinking, I have a pretty good idea of what I make and what I spend. Why do I need to track it? This is one of the biggest hurdles in personal finance. We often think we know where our money is going, but the reality can be shockingly different. Small, seemingly insignificant purchases, that daily coffee, that app subscription you forgot about, the occasional lunch out, add up to significant amounts over a month or a year. This is often called death by a thousand cuts spending. You cannot manage what you do not measure. The act of tracking your money is the single most illuminating exercise in personal finance. It's not about restricting yourself, at least not yet. It is about awareness. It is about trading assumptions for facts. For the next month, you are not a spender on a diet. You are a scientist collecting data. The goal is to uncover the truth about your financial habits. And as we discuss these practical steps, please remember our guiding principle. This content is for your education and information. We are exploring general strategies and concepts. This is not a substitute for personalized advice from a licensed financial professional who can review your specific situation. So, how do you actually track your money? The best method is the one you will actually stick with. Let's explore a few popular options. First, there's the classic pen and paper method. You can use a simple notebook to write down every dollar that comes in and every dollar that goes out. The benefit of this method is its simplicity and the tangible connection you feel by physically writing things down. The downside is that it requires manual calculation and discipline to carry your notebook with you. Second, you can use a digital spreadsheet. Programs like Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets are perfect for this. You can create simple columns for the date, the item, the category of spending, and the amount. The advantage here is that the spreadsheet can do the math for you. You can easily see totals and create charts to visualize your spending. It's customizable and free if you use a program like Google Sheets. Third, there are numerous budgeting and financial tracking apps. We won't recommend any specific app, but a quick search will show you many options. These apps often link securely to your bank accounts and credit cards, automatically importing and categorizing your transactions. The upside is immense convenience and automation. The potential downsides can include subscription fees for premium features or privacy considerations you'll want to review. Choose one method that feels right for you. Don't worry about picking the perfect one. Just pick one to start with. Now, what exactly should you be tracking? We need to look at both sides of the cash flow equation. First, your income. This is any money coming in. For most people, this is the net pay from their job, the amount that actually hits your bank account after taxes and deductions. You should also include any other income sources, like a side business, freelance work, or any other money you receive regularly. Next, and this is the crucial part, you need to track your expenses. Every single one. To make this data useful, we need to categorize it. This will help us see patterns. A good starting point is to divide your expenses into two main types: fixed expenses and variable expenses. Fixed expenses are the costs that are generally consistent and predictable each month. Think of them as your foundational financial obligations. This category includes things like rent or mortgage payments, car payments, insurance premiums, car health renters, loan payments, utilities that are relatively stable like internet or cell phone bills, recurring subscriptions like streaming services or gym memberships. Variable expenses, on the other hand, are costs that change from month to month and over which you have more daily control. This category includes groceries, gasoline or transportation costs, dining out in coffee shops, entertainment, like movie tickets or concerts, shopping for clothes, hobbies, or household items, personal care. As you track your spending, assign each expense to a category. You can be as broad or as specific as you like. The key is to create a system that makes sense to you. So here is your action plan. Your assignment for the next 30 days is this: track every single dollar. Whether you use a notebook, a spreadsheet, or an app, capture everything. That $5 coffee, the $50 tank of gas, the 99-cent in-app purchase. It all gets written down. And I will say it one more time. Do not try to change your spending habits during this period. Don't judge yourself if you spend more on restaurants than you thought. The goal here is not to be perfect. The goal is to be honest. You are simply gathering the raw data that will become the foundation for your financial plan. This process takes a little effort, but the clarity it provides is priceless. You are moving from flying blind to navigating with a GPS. Once you have a full 30 days of this data, you will have a clear, factual picture of your cash flow. You'll know exactly how much is coming in, and exactly where it's all going. This information is the key that unlocks the next, most powerful step in our journey. In our next chapter, we will take this data and use it to build your first personalized and realistic budget, a spending plan that aligns your money with your goals and puts you, not your habits, in the driver's seat. You're doing great work. Keep it up, and I'll see you in Chapter 4. Welcome back. Over the last 2 chapters, we laid the essential groundwork for your financial transformation. We took a snapshot of your net worth to know our starting point, and then, you embarked on the critical 30-day mission of tracking your cash flow. If you completed that exercise, you now possess something incredibly valuable: data. You have replaced vague guesses with hard facts about where your money is going. Now it's time to use that knowledge to take control. It's time to build your first budget. I want you to pause for a moment and consider the word budget. For many people, it's a word that brings up feelings of restriction, deprivation, and stress. It sounds like a financial diet. I want to ask you to set that definition aside. From this moment on, I want you to think of a budget as a spending plan. It is not a document that tells you what you can't do. It is a tool that you create to tell your money where to go, so you can achieve the things you want to do. It is the single most powerful tool for aligning your daily financial habits with your long-term life goals. And as we begin this process, please remember our most important guideline. This chapter provides educational information and a general framework. It is not personal financial advice. A licensed financial professional can help you create a detailed budget tailored to your unique circumstances and goals. There are many different ways to budget, but for beginners, it's best to start with a simple, flexible, and proven framework. One of the most popular and effective is the 50/30/20 guideline. This guideline suggests dividing your after-tax income, the money that actually lands in your bank account, into 3 categories: 50% for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings and debt repayment. Let's break down what each of these categories means. First, 50% for needs. These are the absolute essentials. These are the expenses you must pay to live safely and work. This category includes housing, your rent or mortgage payment; utilities, electricity, water, gas and internet; transportation, your car payment, gas, public transit passes, and basic vehicle maintenance; groceries, the food you need to live, not restaurant meals; insurance, health, car and renters or homeowners insurance; minimum debt payments, the absolute minimum required on your loans and credit cards to stay in good standing. Look at the spending data you collected over the last month. Add up everything that falls into this needs category. The goal is for this total to be around 50% of your take-home pay. Next, 30% for wants. This category is all about your lifestyle and quality of life. These are the things you spend money on that are not absolutely essential for survival, but make life more enjoyable. This includes dining out and your daily coffee, entertainment, movies, concerts, and streaming subscriptions, hobbies and shopping for non-essential items like new clothes or electronics, vacations and travel, gym memberships that are a lifestyle choice, not a medical necessity. This is the area where your personal choices and values really come into play. Go through your tracking data and total up all of your wants. The guideline suggests this should be no more than 30% of your income. Finally, we have 20% for savings and debt repayment. This is the category that builds your future. This is how you get ahead. This money is for building an emergency fund. We will talk more about this in a future chapter. Saving for specific goals, like a down payment on a house or a new car. Investing for retirement in accounts like a 401k or an IRA. Making extra payments on your debt. Remember, the minimum payments went into the needs category. Any amount you pay above the minimum goes here, because that is an active choice to get out of debt faster. So here's your task. Take your total monthly take-home income. Calculate what 50%, 30%, and 20% of that number is. Now take the spending data you collected and see how your actual spending compares to these guidelines. What if your numbers don't line up? What if your needs are taking up 70% of your income, or you find your wants are at 40%? First, do not panic. This is completely normal, and this is why we are doing this exercise. The guideline is a target, not a strict rule. Your job is to be a problem solver. If your needs are too high, it might be a sign that your core expenses, like housing or your car payment, are straining your finances. This is tough to change quickly, but it gives you critical information for future big decisions. More often, the easiest place to make adjustments is in the wants category. Look at your list. Is there anything you can reduce? Can you dine out one less time per week? Can you cancel a streaming service you barely use? Every small change you make in this category frees up money that can be redirected to the savings and debt repayment category. This is you in real time, taking control of your financial future. You are making conscious trade-offs. Your budget is not set in stone. It is a living document. You should review it every month. Some months you might have an unexpected expense. Other months you might do better than planned. The goal is progress, not perfection. By creating this spending plan, you are giving every single one of your dollars a job to do. You are telling your money what you want it to accomplish for you. You are moving from a reactive state of wondering where your money went to a proactive state of financial control. In our next chapter, we're going to talk about what to do with that powerful 20% category. We will dive into the first and most critical savings goal for everyone: building your emergency fund. You've built your plan. The journey is truly underway. I'll see you in Chapter 5. Welcome back. In our last chapter, we transformed our tracking data into a powerful spending plan, our first budget. We gave our money a mission using the 50/30/20 guideline, identifying that crucial 20% category for savings and debt repayment. Today, we're going to assign the very first dollar in that category its most critical, non-negotiable job: building your financial safety net. We are going to talk about the emergency fund. So, what exactly is an emergency fund? Think of it as a financial fire extinguisher. It's a sum of money you have saved that is exclusively for unexpected, urgent, and necessary expenses. You hope you never have to use it. But if a financial fire breaks out in your life, you will be incredibly grateful that you have it ready to go. It is the shock absorber that smooths out the otherwise bumpy road of life. The primary purpose of an emergency fund is simple but profound: to protect you from going into debt when life throws you a curveball. Without this cash buffer, an unexpected event can quickly turn into a crisis, forcing you to rely on high-interest credit cards or loans just to get by. An emergency fund is your first line of defense. It's what allows you to handle a stressful situation without making it a financial catastrophe. It's equally important to understand what an emergency fund is not for. It is not a vacation fund. It is not for a down payment on a car. It is not for holiday shopping or for buying that new gadget that just went on sale. The power of the emergency fund lies in its dedicated purpose. It is for true emergencies such as a sudden job loss or reduction in income, an unexpected medical or dental bill, an urgent and necessary car repair to keep you on the road, an emergency home repair, like a leaking roof or a broken furnace, or unexpected travel required for a family crisis. By keeping this fund sacred, you ensure the money is there when you truly need it most. As we start talking about specific savings goals, I want to gently remind you that the figures and timelines we discuss are general guidelines for educational purposes. The ideal size of an emergency fund can vary greatly based on individual circumstances like your job stability, family size, and health. A qualified financial professional can help you determine a precise target that is right for you. So the big question is, how much money do you need in your emergency fund? The most common benchmark you will hear from financial experts is to save 3 to 6 months' worth of essential living expenses. Let's break that down. Essential living expenses refers to the absolute bare-bones amount of money you would need to survive if your income disappeared tomorrow. Look back at the needs category from your 50/30/20 budget. This includes your rent or mortgage, utilities, essential groceries, transportation, insurance, and minimum debt payments. It does not include restaurants, entertainment, or shopping. Calculate that number for 1 month, and then multiply it by 3 and by 6 to find your range. Why the range of 3 to 6 months? 3 months might be suitable for a household with 2 stable incomes, or for someone with an in-demand job they could replace quickly. 6 months, or even more, is a wiser target for those who are self-employed, work on commission, have less predictable income, or are the sole provider for their family. I know that number can sound intimidating. If you calculate that you need $10, $15, or even $20,000, it can feel completely overwhelming. Please do not let that big number discourage you. You do not build a wall by trying to lift the whole thing at once. You do it one brick at a time. The first step is not to save 6 months of expenses. The first step is to save your first dollar. A great way to start is with a starter emergency fund. Many people aim for a goal of $500 or $1,000. This smaller, more achievable target provides a powerful psychological boost. Hitting that first goal proves that you can do it. More importantly, a $1,000 fund can handle many of life's common smaller emergencies. A flat tire, a broken appliance, an urgent dental visit, and stop the cycle of small setbacks turning into credit card debt. So where should you keep this money? The 2 most important criteria are that it must be safe and it must be liquid. Safe means this money should not be exposed to market risk. You should not invest your emergency fund in the stock market. While investing is a powerful tool for long-term growth, the market can go down, and you can't risk your emergency money losing value. Its job is stability, not growth. Liquid means you can access the money quickly and easily when you need it, without paying any penalties. A perfect place for an emergency fund that meets both of these criteria is a high-yield savings account, often abbreviated as an HYSA. These accounts are typically offered by online banks and function just like a regular savings account, but they usually offer a significantly higher interest rate. It's crucial to keep this account separate from your everyday checking account. This separation creates a helpful barrier, making you less tempted to dip into it for non-emergencies. Building your emergency fund is the ultimate act of self-care. It is a gift of peace of mind to your future self. It is the foundation upon which all other financial goals are built. Once you have a healthy emergency fund in place, you can move forward with incredible confidence. You'll be ready to tackle debt and begin investing for the future, knowing that you have a safety net to catch you. In our next chapter, we will address the topic of debt. We'll explore the different types of debt, how interest works, and how to create a clear strategy to manage and reduce it effectively.
Disclaimer: the information presented is for informational purposes only and is not professional financial, investment, or tax advice. All investments involve risk and may result in partial or total loss. You should always conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any financial decisions. By viewing this video, You agree not to hold the creator liable for any loss or damage arising from your use of the information provided.
You now have the blueprint for your financial foundation. Start laying that first brick today. I'll see you in Chapter 6. Welcome back. In our last chapter, we took the vital step of planning our financial safety net, the emergency fund. That fund is our foundation, giving us the stability and confidence to handle the unexpected. With that foundation in place, we can now turn our focus to one of the biggest and most common obstacles on the path to financial freedom: debt. First, let's take a moment to reframe our thinking. In our society, debt is often shrouded in feelings of shame, stress, and even failure. I want to be very clear. Having debt is not a moral failing. It is a financial condition. The vast majority of people in the United States have some form of debt, whether it's student loans, a mortgage, a car loan, or credit card balances. Your debt does not define you. It is simply a problem to be solved, a mountain to be climbed. And today we are drawing the map. To manage debt effectively, we first need to understand the engine that drives it: interest. In the simplest terms, interest is the cost of borrowing money. When you take out a loan, you are paying a lender for the privilege of using their money. This cost is usually expressed as an APR, or annual percentage rate. A higher APR means the debt is more expensive. The real power of debt, and its real danger, comes from a concept called compound interest. When you owe money, interest is calculated on your balance. If you don't pay that interest off completely, it gets added to your original balance. The next time interest is calculated, it's on a larger amount. It's interest on top of interest. This is why high-interest debt, like on many credit cards, can feel like a treadmill you can't get off of. You make payments, but the balance barely seems to budge. Understanding this is the first step to defeating it. Now, not all debt is created equal. For educational purposes, it can be helpful to think about debt in two general categories: good debt and bad debt. Good debt, which you might also hear called productive debt, is typically debt taken on to purchase something that has the potential to increase in value or increase your future income. The classic examples are a mortgage to buy a home, which can appreciate over time, or a student loan to earn a degree that increases your earning potential. This type of debt is often seen as an investment in your future, and usually comes with a lower interest rate. Bad debt, or unproductive debt, is typically used to pay for things that lose value or are consumed immediately. The most common example is high-interest credit card debt used for lifestyle purchases, things like vacations, frequent meals out, or clothes. Payday loans and high-interest personal loans also fall into this category. This debt does not build your wealth, it subtracts from it. But a word of caution: even good debt can become problematic if you take on too much. The goal is to use debt strategically, not to be buried by it. As we transition into discussing strategies for paying off debt, it is essential to state our familiar, yet crucial, reminder. The following information is for educational purposes, to show you common and popular methods. It is not personal financial advice. The best strategy for you depends entirely on your specific debts, interest rates, income, and even your personality. We strongly recommend consulting with a reputable nonprofit credit counselor or a licensed financial professional to create a personalized debt repayment plan. There are two very popular and effective strategies for tackling debt. They are the debt avalanche and the debt snowball. First, let's look at the debt avalanche. With this method, you list all of your debts in order from the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate. You continue to make the minimum required payment on all of your debts. Then you take every extra dollar you can find in your budget and throw it at the debt with the highest interest rate. Once that debt is completely paid off, you take all the money you were paying on it, both the minimum payment and the extra amount, and roll it over to attack the debt with the next highest interest rate. The main advantage of the debt avalanche is mathematical. By targeting the highest interest debt first, you will pay less in total interest over the life of your loans, saving you money. The second method is the debt snowball. With this strategy, you list your debts in order from the smallest balance to the largest balance, regardless of the interest rates. You make the minimum payment on everything, but you put all your extra money toward the debt with the smallest balance. Once that smallest debt is paid off, you get a quick, powerful psychological win. You then take the money you were paying on that debt and roll it over to the next smallest balance. As you pay off each debt, the amount you're paying, your snowball, gets bigger and bigger, creating powerful momentum. The main advantage of the debt snowball is behavioral. Those quick wins can be highly motivating and help you stay committed to your plan for the long haul. So which one is better? The truth is neither. The best plan is the one you will actually stick to. If you are motivated by pure numbers and saving the most money, the avalanche might be for you. If you know you need those motivational wins to stay in the fight, the snowball might be your key to success. Tackling debt is a marathon, not a sprint. But by understanding how it works and choosing a clear strategy, you have created your roadmap to freedom. Every extra dollar you put toward your debt is a dollar you are investing in your future self. Now that we have a plan for our savings and our debt, we can turn our attention to another powerful number in our financial lives. In our next chapter, we will demystify the credit score, what it is, why it matters so much, and the key behaviors that build a strong, positive credit history. You face this topic head-on, and that takes courage. Keep going. I'll see you in Chapter 7. Welcome back. In our last chapter, we drew a map for navigating and managing debt. As you begin to execute that plan, making consistent payments and reducing your balances, you are positively influencing another incredibly important number in your financial life. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that number, a number that can unlock doors or close them. We are talking about your credit score. So what is a credit score? In the simplest terms, it's a 3-digit number, typically ranging from 300 to 850, that acts as a summary of your credit history. Think of it as your financial report card. It provides lenders with a quick snapshot of how responsible you have been with borrowed money in the past. This score helps them predict the likelihood that you will pay back future loans on time. The most common scoring models you'll hear about are FICO and VantageScore, but they both aim to do the same thing: measure credit risk. Why does this single number carry so much weight? Because it directly impacts your ability to borrow money, and more importantly, how much it will cost you. A higher credit score signals to lenders that you are a low-risk borrower. As a reward, they are more likely to approve you for loans and offer you lower interest rates. This has a massive real-world impact. A lower interest rate on a mortgage or a car loan can save you thousands, or even tens of thousands, of dollars over the years. It affects the credit cards you qualify for and the interest rates you'll pay on any balance. But its influence doesn't stop there. In many states, landlords check your credit before approving a rental application. Some insurance companies may use credit information as a factor in setting your premiums. And for certain jobs, particularly in finance or security, an employer may review your credit history. Your credit score is a key part of your financial reputation. As we delve into the components of a credit score, we want to be very clear. This information is based on the publicly available scoring models and is for educational purposes only. We are not a credit repair organization. If you have significant issues or inaccuracies on your credit report, we recommend seeking guidance from a reputable, nonprofit credit counseling agency. So, how is this all-important number calculated? While the exact formulas are secret, the scoring models have shared the 5 main factors they consider, along with their approximate importance. Number 1, payment history, accounts for about 35% of your score. This is, without a doubt, the single most important factor. The question it answers is simple. Do you pay your bills on time? A consistent record of on-time payments will build a strong score. Conversely, late payments, accounts sent to collections, or bankruptcies can cause significant damage. Even one 30-day late payment can have a major negative impact. Number 2, amounts owed, or credit utilization, about 30%. This factor looks at how much of your available credit you are using. The key metric here is your credit utilization ratio. To find it, you divide your total credit card balances by your total credit limits. For example, if you have one credit card with a $100 balance and a $1,000 limit, your utilization is 10%. A lower utilization ratio is always better. While there's no magic number, many experts suggest keeping your overall utilization below 30%. High balances can signal to lenders that you are overextended and may be a higher risk. Number 3, length of credit history, about 15%. This considers the age of your credit accounts. A longer credit history generally leads to a higher score, as it gives lenders more data to see your long-term track record of responsible behavior. This is why it's often a good idea to keep your oldest credit card open and active, even if you don't use it much. Number 4, new credit, about 10%. This factor looks at how recently and how frequently you've applied for new credit. If you apply for several new credit cards or loans in a short period, it can be a red flag for lenders, suggesting you might be in financial trouble. Each application can result in a hard inquiry on your report, which may temporarily dip your score by a few points. Number 5, credit mix, about 10%. Lenders like to see that you can responsibly manage different types of credit. A healthy mix might include both revolving credit, like credit cards, and installment loans, like a car loan or a mortgage. This isn't the most important factor, so you shouldn't take out a loan just for the sake of it. But over time, building a diverse credit profile helps. So, how do you put this knowledge into action? First, you should know what's in your credit report. By law, you are entitled to a free copy of your credit report from each of the 3 major bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, every year. You can get these from the official government-mandated website, annualcreditreport.com. Review them for accuracy. Building a strong score comes down to practicing a few key habits. Pay every single bill on time every time. Set up automatic payments to avoid forgetting. Keep your credit card balances low. Don't open too many new accounts at once. And try not to close your oldest credit accounts. Your credit score is not a mystery, and it's not a final grade. It is a dynamic number that reflects your financial habits. By practicing these responsible habits, you are actively building a stronger financial reputation every single month. We've now covered the defensive side of personal finance: budgeting, saving for emergencies, managing debt, and building credit. In our next chapter, we're going to switch to offense. We will introduce the foundational concepts of investing and explain why it is the most powerful tool for building long-term wealth. You are in control. Keep up the great work, and I'll see you in Chapter 8. Welcome back. In our journey so far, we have built a formidable financial defense. We created a spending plan, we established an emergency fund for stability, we drew a map for managing debt, and we demystified the credit score. With that strong foundation in place, it is now time to shift our focus from defense to offense. It's time to talk about the primary engine for building long-term wealth: investing. Now, before we take another step, our disclaimer is more critical in this chapter than ever before. The information we are about to share is purely for educational purposes, to introduce you to the concept of investing. It is not, under any circumstances, to be considered investment advice. We will not be recommending any specific stocks, bonds, funds, or any particular investment strategy. All investments carry risk, including the potential loss of the money you invest, which is known as your principal. The personal decision of if, when, and how to invest is a significant one that should only be made after careful consideration, and, ideally, consultation with a qualified and licensed financial advisor or planner, who can assess your personal financial situation, your goals, and your tolerance for risk. With that vital understanding established, let's start with a fundamental question. What is the difference between saving and investing? Saving is the process of setting aside money for short-term goals or for safety. The money you put in your emergency fund is savings. Money you're setting aside for a down payment on a car next year is savings. The primary goal of saving is capital preservation, to make sure the money is safe and accessible when you need it. Investing, on the other hand, is for long-term goals. Think 5 years or more in the future, with retirement being the most common example. When you invest, you are putting your money to work with the goal of making it grow. You are accepting a calculated level of risk with the potential of earning a higher return than you would in a typical savings account. The primary goal of investing is growth. So why take the risk? Why not just keep all of our money in a safe savings account? The answer can be explained in one word: inflation. Inflation is the rate at which the cost of goods and services rises over time. It's the reason a movie ticket that cost $5 20 years ago costs $15 today. Inflation slowly erodes the purchasing power of your money. $1 today will buy you less stuff 10 years from now. If your money is sitting in a savings account earning 1% interest, but inflation is running at 3%, your money is actually losing 2% of its purchasing power every single year. You're not getting ahead. The primary goal of a long-term investment strategy is to generate a rate of return that is higher than the rate of inflation, allowing your wealth and your purchasing power to grow over time. The engine that makes this growth possible is a concept we briefly touched on when we discussed debt, but now we see its beautiful, positive side: compound growth. Compound growth, or compound returns, is the process of your earnings generating their own earnings. Let's use a purely hypothetical illustration. Imagine you invest $100, and it earns a 10% return in 1 year. You now have $110. The next year, if it earns another 10%, that return is calculated on the new, larger amount of $110. So you earn $11. Your money is now growing at an accelerating rate. This is the magic of compounding. It shows that the two most powerful ingredients in an investment strategy are not timing the market or picking a winner. They are time in the market and consistency. Of course, this potential for growth is not free. It comes with the central trade-off of all investing: the relationship between risk and return. Risk is the chance that you could lose money on your investment. Return is the amount of money you make from your investment. The fundamental principle is that, generally, investments that have the potential for higher returns also come with a higher level of risk. Conversely, investments with very low risk typically offer much lower potential returns. There is no such thing as a high-return, no-risk investment. Part of developing a sound financial plan with a professional involves understanding your own personal comfort with risk, known as your risk tolerance. To help you understand the language of investing, let's define a few of the most basic types of assets, known as asset classes. Again, these are just definitions, not recommendations. First, there are stocks, also called equities. Owning a share of stock means you own a tiny piece of that company. If the company does well and grows, the value of your share may increase. Second, there are bonds. When you buy a bond, you are essentially lending money to a government or a corporation. In exchange for your loan, they agree to pay you periodic interest payments and then return your original loan amount, the principal, at a future date. Finally, you will often hear about mutual funds and exchange-traded funds, or ETFs. These are simply tools that allow you to buy a large collection of many different stocks or bonds all at once, in a single purchase. Think of it like buying a pre-made basket of fruit instead of having to go and pick out every single apple, orange, and banana individually. We have covered a lot of ground today. The key takeaway is this: investing is a long-term strategy for putting your money to work to outpace inflation, powered by the magic of compound growth, and always governed by the trade-off between risk and return. Now that we understand the why and the what of investing, you might be wondering where this all takes place. In our next chapter, we will demystify the most common tools for long-term investing in the United States: retirement accounts. We'll explain concepts like the 401k and the IRA in simple, easy-to-understand terms. You've taken a big step today into the world of wealth creation. I'll see you in Chapter 9. Welcome back. In our last chapter, we opened the door to the world of long-term investing. We discussed the powerful concepts of compound growth, inflation, and the relationship between risk and return. We learned why investing is the primary engine for building wealth over time. Today, we're going to answer the next logical question: where do you do this? We will explore the primary tools the U.S. financial system offers for this purpose: retirement accounts. Let's begin with our most important and non-negotiable disclaimer. This chapter will discuss various types of investment accounts that have specific tax implications as defined by the Internal Revenue Service, or IRS. The information provided is for general educational and informational purposes only. It is not, and should not be interpreted as, investment advice, financial advice, or tax advice. The rules surrounding these accounts, including contribution limits and tax laws, can be complex and are subject to change. We strongly urge you to consult with a qualified financial advisor and a licensed tax professional to understand which options may be suitable for your individual circumstances. First, let's clarify a common point of confusion. A retirement account itself is not an investment. A 401k is not an investment. An IRA is not an investment. Think of them as special baskets. They are accounts that are designed to hold your investments, your stocks, bonds, and funds. What makes these baskets special is that the government has given them powerful tax advantages to encourage people to save for the long term. These tax benefits are the superpower of retirement accounts. Let's start with the most common type: employer-sponsored plans. The most well-known of these is the 401k. If you work for a nonprofit or public school, you might have a similar plan called a 403b, but for our purposes today, they function in much the same way. A 401k is a retirement savings plan offered by an employer. You elect to have a certain percentage of your paycheck automatically deducted and deposited into your 401k account. In a traditional 401k, this contribution is made pre-tax. This means the money is taken out of your paycheck before federal and state income taxes are calculated. This has an immediate benefit. It lowers your taxable income for the current year, which means you pay less in taxes today. Inside the account, your investments can then grow tax-deferred. This is a huge advantage. In a normal investment account, you might have to pay taxes on your investment gains each year. In a 401k, you don't. The money is allowed to grow and compound year after year without a tax bill slowing it down. The taxes are simply deferred until retirement. When you begin to withdraw money from your traditional 401k in retirement, those withdrawals are then taxed as ordinary income. Now, one of the most incredible features of many 401k plans is the employer match. This is when your employer contributes money to your account on your behalf. A common example is a company matching 100% of your contributions up to the first 3% or 5% of your salary. This is the closest thing to free money you will ever find in personal finance. It is a 100% return on your investment, guaranteed. If you do nothing else, a common piece of financial wisdom is to contribute at least enough to your 401k to get the full employer match. Not doing so is like turning down a portion of your salary. Some employers also offer a Roth 401k option. This is the reverse of the traditional 401k. Your contributions are made post-tax, meaning after income taxes have already been taken out. You don't get an upfront tax deduction, but the benefit comes later. Your money grows completely tax-free, and when you take qualified withdrawals in retirement, you pay zero taxes. What if your employer doesn't offer a 401k, or you're self-employed? That's where the individual retirement account, or IRA, comes in. Anyone with earned income can open an IRA on their own through a brokerage firm. Just like the 401k, IRAs come in two main flavors. A traditional IRA works similarly to a traditional 401k. Your contribution may be tax deductible depending on your income and whether you have a retirement plan at work. The money grows tax deferred, and you pay income tax on withdrawals in retirement. And then there is the Roth IRA. The Roth IRA is a favorite tool for many long-term savers. Contributions are made with post-tax money, so there's no upfront tax break. But its superpower is on the back end. Your investments grow 100% tax-free, and all qualified withdrawals in retirement are 100% tax-free. It's an incredibly powerful tool for creating a source of tax-free income for your future self. It is important to note that there are income limits set by the IRS that may prevent high earners from contributing directly to a Roth IRA. So to summarize, traditional accounts, 401k or IRA, give you a potential tax break today. Roth accounts, 401k or IRA, give you a tax break in the future, with tax-free withdrawals. The IRS sets annual limits on how much you can contribute to these accounts. These limits often change from year to year, so it's a good idea to stay informed about the current amounts. While a financial professional is the only one who can give you advice, a common educational framework for prioritizing retirement savings often looks like this. Contribute enough to your 401k to get the full employer match. Then consider contributing to an IRA, either Roth or traditional, up to the annual limit. IRAs often provide a wider variety of investment choices than a typical 401k. If you've maxed out your IRA contributions for the year, consider increasing your contributions back at your 401k until you reach its annual limit. The single most important factor for success with these accounts is to start as early as you can, because of the power of compound growth. The dollars you invest in your 20s are far more powerful than the ones you invest in your 40s. You now understand the most powerful tools available for building long-term wealth. In our next chapter, we're going to address the other side of financial protection, the world of insurance. We will explain the basic types of insurance and the role they play in protecting you and your wealth from life's biggest risks. You're building a comprehensive financial education. Keep up the momentum. I'll see you in Chapter 10. Welcome back. Over the last several chapters, we have focused on building your financial life brick by brick. We learned to manage our money with a budget, built a defensive safety net with an emergency fund, and switched to offense by learning about investing for our future in retirement accounts. You are building assets and creating a financial future. Now we must talk about how to protect it. Today we're diving into the world of insurance. It's easy to think of insurance as just another monthly bill, another expense. But I encourage you to reframe that thinking. Insurance is not an expense, it is a shield. It is a tool for managing risk. The fundamental idea is simple. You transfer the risk of a large, unpredictable, and potentially catastrophic financial loss to an insurance company. In exchange, you pay them a smaller, predictable amount of money on a regular basis. This small, regular payment is what allows you to sleep at night, knowing that one single bad event won't wipe out everything you've worked so hard to build. Before we explore the different types of insurance, it is essential that we state our disclaimer. This chapter is a general educational overview of common insurance concepts. It is not advice or a recommendation to purchase any specific type of policy or coverage amount. Insurance policies are legal contracts, and the details matter immensely. For personalized advice on your specific needs, it is crucial to speak with a qualified and licensed insurance professional who can assess your situation and explain your options. To understand any insurance policy, you first need to know the language. Here are a few key terms you will always encounter. Premium. This is the fixed, regular payment, usually monthly or yearly, that you make to the insurance company to keep your policy active. Deductible. This is the amount of money you must pay out of pocket for a covered event before the insurance company starts to pay. A higher deductible typically results in a lower premium, and vice versa. Policy. This is the formal legal contract between you and the insurance company that outlines what is covered, for how much, and under what circumstances. Claim. This is a formal request that you file with the insurance company to receive payment after a covered incident occurs. Now, let's look at the main types of insurance that form the core of a personal financial protection plan. First, health insurance. This is designed to help cover the costs of medical care, from doctor visits and prescription drugs to hospital stays and major surgeries. In the United States, health insurance is a vital and complex topic. Without it, a single major illness or accident could lead to overwhelming medical debt. Many people receive health insurance through their employer, but it can also be purchased through government marketplaces or directly from insurance companies. Next is auto insurance. If you own a car, this is not just a good idea. In nearly every state, it is the law. The primary purpose of auto insurance is to provide financial protection if you are in an accident. Liability coverage, which is the part that's legally required, pays for damages to other people's vehicles and their medical expenses if you are at fault. Other coverages, like collision and comprehensive, can be added to pay for damages to your own car. Third, we have homeowners and renters insurance. If you own a home, your mortgage lender will require you to have homeowners insurance. This covers damage to the structure of your house as well as your personal belongings inside from events like fire, storms, or theft. It also provides crucial liability protection if someone is injured on your property. If you rent, your landlord's insurance only covers the building itself. Renter's insurance is what protects your personal belongings, your furniture, electronics, and clothes. It's surprisingly affordable and absolutely essential for protecting your possessions. Now let's talk about life insurance. The purpose of life insurance is to provide a tax-free cash payment, known as a death benefit, to your chosen beneficiaries when you pass away. The core question it answers is this: would anyone suffer financially if my income were to disappear? If you have a spouse, children, or anyone else who depends on your income, life insurance is a tool to ensure they are taken care of. It can help them pay the mortgage, cover daily living expenses, or fund future educational needs. There are two very general types: term life, which covers you for a specific period, and permanent life, which is designed to cover your entire life. Finally, there is one of the most overlooked but critical types of insurance: disability insurance. Many people insure their car and their house, but they forget to insure their single greatest asset: their ability to earn an income. Disability insurance is essentially income insurance. If you become sick or injured and are unable to work for an extended period, this insurance will replace a portion of your lost income, allowing you to continue paying your bills and supporting your family. Insurance is the bedrock of a secure financial plan. It is the shield that stands between your financial life and the unpredictable events that can threaten it. Now that we understand how to build and protect our financial foundation, it's time to put it all to work for a purpose. In our next chapter, we will discuss how to set meaningful financial goals and create a realistic action plan to achieve them. Whether that's buying a home, saving for college, or retiring early, you're now equipped with the knowledge to protect what you build. I'll see you in Chapter 11. Welcome back. In our journey together, we have assembled a complete financial toolkit. We've learned how to create a budget, build an emergency fund, manage debt, understand credit, explore investing, and shield ourselves with insurance. You now understand the tools. Today, we're going to talk about the blueprint. A tool is only useful when you know what you want to build. This chapter is all about giving your money a mission by setting clear, powerful, and meaningful financial goals. Without goals, money is just numbers in an account. It lacks purpose. Financial goals are what transform your daily financial habits from chores into choices. They are the why behind saving instead of spending. They provide the motivation to stick with your budget on a tough day. They turn abstract dreams like, "I want to be wealthy," or "I wish I could travel more," into a concrete, achievable plan. As we discuss a framework for setting these goals, please keep our familiar but important principle in mind. This is an educational guide to help you think about your future. It is not personal financial advice. The goals you choose, the priority you give them, and the timeline you set are all deeply personal decisions. For a detailed strategy tailored to your life, A consultation with a qualified financial planner is always a valuable step. A great way to begin organizing your financial aspirations is to categorize them by their time horizon.
Disclaimer: the information presented is for informational purposes only and is not professional financial, investment, or tax advice. All investments involve risk and may result in partial or total loss. You should always conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any financial decisions. By viewing this video, you agree not to hold the creator liable for any loss or damage arising from your use of the information provided.
This helps you choose the right savings or investment strategy for each one. First, we have short-term goals. These are the things you want to achieve within the next 1 to 3 years. Because the timeline is short, the money for these goals should typically be kept safe and accessible, like in a high-yield savings account, not exposed to the risks of the stock market. Examples of short-term goals include saving for a vacation, paying off a specific high-interest credit card, saving up to buy a new piece of furniture or an electronic device, building up your initial starter emergency fund. Next are midterm goals. These are larger objectives that you're aiming for in the next 3 to 10 years. These require more significant savings and more dedicated planning. Examples include saving for a down payment on a home, saving to buy a car with cash, putting money aside to start a business, saving for a wedding. Finally, we have long-term goals. These are the major life milestones that are more than 10 years away. Because you have a long time horizon, this is where investing really comes into play, allowing you to take advantage of compound growth. The most common long-term goals are saving for retirement, saving for a child's future college education. Simply writing down a goal is a good start, but to make it truly powerful, we can use a proven framework known as SMART goals. SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Let's break it down. S is for specific. A vague goal is a dream. A specific goal is a target. I want to save more money is vague. I want to save money for a down payment on my first home is specific. M is for measurable. How will you know when you've succeeded? You need a number. I want to save $20,000 for a down payment on my first home. Now you have a finish line. A is for achievable. Your goal should be realistic given your financial situation. This is where your budget comes in. Look at your 20% savings category from your 50/30/20 plan. Is your goal achievable with your current income and expenses? If not, you might need to adjust the amount of the goal, find ways to increase your income, or reduce your spending. It has to be grounded in reality. R is for relevant. Does this goal truly matter to you? Is it aligned with your values and what you want out of life? A goal that is deeply relevant to you is one you will find the internal motivation to pursue, even when it's difficult. And finally, T is for time-bound. A goal needs a deadline. I want to save $20,000 for a down payment on my first home in the next 5 years. Look at the difference. I want to save money has become, I want to save $20,000 for a down payment in 5 years. This new goal is a clear instruction. It automatically creates an action plan. You can do the simple math. $20,000 divided by 60 months, that's 5 years, is about $333 per month. You now know exactly how much you need to set aside. You can go into your budget and give that $333 a specific job. The best way to ensure this happens is to automate it. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to a dedicated savings account for that goal every payday. This is the principle of paying yourself first. And it's the secret to consistent progress. Of course, you may have multiple goals competing for your savings. This is normal. It requires you to prioritize what's most important to you right now. You can allocate your savings, perhaps putting 10% toward retirement, 5% toward a house down payment, and 5% toward a vacation fund. The allocation is your choice, based on your priorities. Your assignment from this chapter is to think. Think about what you really want to accomplish with your money. Then write down 1 to 3 SMART financial goals. Put them somewhere you can see them. This act of writing them down makes them real and holds you accountable. Now that we know how to set powerful goals, we're going to spend some time on one of the biggest financial goals for many Americans. In our next chapter, we will break down the process of buying a home. We'll demystify the key concepts, from mortgages to down payments, to give you a clear overview of the journey to homeownership. You have the tools. You now have the blueprint. Go start building. I'll see you in Chapter 12. Welcome back. In our last chapter, we learned how to give our money a purpose by setting powerful, SMART financial goals. For many Americans, one of the biggest and most significant of those goals is homeownership. It's a cornerstone of the American dream, but the process can seem complex and intimidating, filled with jargon and unfamiliar steps. Today, our goal is to demystify this process, to give you a clear roadmap and a simple dictionary for the journey to buying a home. Before we begin, it is absolutely critical to state our disclaimer. This chapter is a high-level educational overview of the home buying process. It is not real estate advice, mortgage advice, or legal advice. Buying a home is one of the largest financial transactions you will ever make, and it involves legally binding contracts. It is essential to work with a team of licensed professionals, including a qualified real estate agent, a mortgage lender, and potentially a real estate attorney, to guide you through your specific journey. First, it's worth noting that the decision to buy a home is a major life choice, not just a financial one. It's about weighing the benefits of building equity and having a stable place of your own against the benefits of renting, which often include more flexibility and fewer responsibilities for maintenance and repairs. The right choice depends entirely on your personal circumstances and where you are in life. If you decide that homeownership is a goal you want to pursue, understanding the language is the first step. Let's define some key terms. First is the mortgage. A mortgage is simply a long-term loan you get from a bank or other lender to buy a house. You pay this loan back with interest in monthly installments over a set period of time, commonly 15 or 30 years. Next is the down payment. This is the portion of the home's purchase price that you pay up front with your own money. The lender finances the rest. You've likely heard that you need a 20% down payment. The reason that 20% figure is so significant is because putting down 20% or more typically allows you to avoid paying for PMI, which stands for private mortgage insurance. PMI is an insurance policy that protects the lender, not you, in case you are unable to make your mortgage payments. It's usually required when your down payment is less than 20%, and it's an extra fee that gets added to your monthly mortgage payment. And that brings us to the 4 parts of a typical monthly payment, remembered by the acronym PITI. This stands for principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Principal is the portion of your payment that goes toward paying down the actual loan balance. Interest is the fee you're paying to the lender for borrowing the money. Taxes refers to the property taxes you pay to your local government, which the lender often collects as part of your monthly payment and holds in an account called escrow. And insurance is your homeowner's insurance premium, which is also often collected by the lender. Understanding PITI is key to knowing the true total cost of your monthly housing payment. So, what does the journey of buying a house look like? Let's walk through a bird's-eye view of the steps. Step 1 is financial preparation. This is everything we've been talking about in this series. Working to improve your credit score, creating a budget to see what you can afford, and saving up money for your down payment and other costs. Step 2 is getting pre-approved for a mortgage. This is where you go to a lender, provide them with your financial information, and they tell you how much they are conditionally willing to lend you. This is a critical step because it tells you what your real budget is, and it shows sellers that you are a serious buyer. Step 3 is finding a real estate agent and house hunting. A good agent is your guide, helping you find homes, navigate the market, and negotiate on your behalf. Step 4 is making an offer. Once you find a home you love, you and your agent will submit a formal offer to the seller. They may accept, reject, or come back with a counteroffer. Step 5 is the under contract phase. Once an offer is accepted, there's a period of time before the sale is final. This is when you'll typically have a professional home inspection to check for any issues with the property, and when the lender will order an appraisal to ensure the home is worth the price you're paying. Finally, step 6 is the closing. This is the final meeting where you sign a mountain of paperwork, the loan becomes official, and you get the keys to your new home. It's also when you'll pay closing costs, which are fees for services like the appraisal and title insurance. These costs typically amount to 2 to 5% of the loan amount, so it's important to save for them in addition to your down payment. When you're looking at mortgages, you'll generally encounter 2 main types. A fixed-rate mortgage has an interest rate that is locked in and will not change for the entire term of the loan. An adjustable-rate mortgage, or ARM, has an interest rate that is fixed for an initial period and can then change periodically after that. Buying a home is a marathon, not a sprint. But by understanding the vocabulary and the steps in the process, you can turn this massive goal into a manageable, step-by-step journey. All of the foundational work you've done on your finances is what makes this goal possible. Now that we've discussed major life goals like retirement and home ownership, what about another significant financial challenge? In our next chapter, we will provide an overview of saving for college, exploring the concepts and tools designed to help families plan for the rising cost of higher education. You're learning how to plan for the biggest moments in your financial life. I'll see you in Chapter 13. Welcome back. In our last 2 chapters, we've focused on planning for some of the biggest financial goals in life: homeownership and retirement. Today, we're going to address another major long-term goal that is a top priority for many American families: saving for higher education. It's no secret that the cost of a college education has risen significantly over the past few decades. That reality can feel daunting, but the purpose of this chapter is not to cause alarm. It is to empower you with knowledge. By understanding the tools designed to help you plan and save, you can turn this monumental challenge into a manageable, long-term project. Before we explore these tools, we must begin with our essential disclaimer. This chapter will discuss savings and investment accounts that have very specific tax rules and features. This information is for educational purposes only, and is not to be considered tax, investment, or financial advice. The rules, contribution limits, and investment options for college savings plans vary significantly by state and by the financial institution offering them. We strongly recommend that you read a plan's official disclosure documents and consult with a qualified financial advisor or tax professional to understand how these tools might fit into your personal financial plan. When it comes to saving for education, one of the most popular and powerful tools you will hear about is the 529 plan. It's named after Section 529 of the IRS tax code, and it is a tax-advantaged savings plan specifically designed to encourage saving for future education costs. Anyone, a parent, grandparent, other relative, or friend, can open a 529 account for a designated beneficiary, who is typically a child. You can even open one for yourself. The reason 529 plans are so popular is because of their potential triple tax advantage. First, tax-deferred growth. Similar to a 401k or an IRA, the money you contribute to a 529 plan is invested and can grow over time without you having to pay taxes on the investment gains each year. This allows your money to compound more efficiently. Second, and this is the biggest benefit, tax-free withdrawals. When you withdraw money from the 529 plan to pay for qualified education expenses, those withdrawals are completely free from federal income tax. And third, state tax benefits. Many, though not all, states offer their residents a state income tax deduction or credit for contributions made to a 529 plan. It is very important to note that, in most cases, you only get this state-level tax break if you contribute to your home state's 529 plan. This is a key factor to research for your specific state of residence. So, what are qualified education expenses? This is broader than you might think. It typically includes tuition and fees, books and supplies, and room and board for a student attending an eligible college, university, or vocational school. Recent rule changes have, in some cases, expanded the use of 529 funds to include things like K-12 private school tuition or even repaying a certain amount of student loans, but it's crucial to check the specific rules of your plan. So how does a 529 plan actually work? When you contribute money, it doesn't just sit there like a savings account. It is invested. Most 529 plans offer a menu of investment options to choose from. A very common choice within these plans is an age-based or target date portfolio. These are designed to automatically and gradually shift from more aggressive investments to more conservative ones as the beneficiary gets closer to college age. A key feature of 529 plans is control. The person who opens the account is the account owner and maintains full control over the funds. You decide when to withdraw the money, and the beneficiary, the student, cannot access the funds on their own. And what if the student decides not to go to college? 529 plans offer flexibility. You can typically change the beneficiary on the account to another eligible family member, such as a younger sibling, a cousin, or even yourself, without penalty. While the 529 plan is the most prominent tool, there are a few other options to be aware of for context. The Coverdell Education Savings Account, or ESA, is another tax-advantaged account, though it has much lower contribution limits and stricter income limitations. There are also custodial accounts, known as UTMAs or UGMAs, where you can save and invest for a minor. A key difference here is that the assets in a custodial account become the legal property of the child once they reach the age of majority, giving them full control over how the money is spent. Planning for a goal as large as a college education is a marathon. The most important ingredient for success is time. Thanks to the power of compound growth, starting early, even with small, consistent contributions, can make a world of difference over many years. Throughout this series, we've repeatedly touched upon the topic of taxes, particularly in the context of tax-advantaged accounts. But how does the broader system of income taxes in the United States work? In our next chapter, we will provide a beginner's guide to understanding your taxes, demystifying core concepts like deductions, credits, and tax brackets. You're learning to plan for your family's future. Keep moving forward. I'll see you in Chapter 14. Welcome back. Throughout this entire series, one topic has woven its way through our discussions on income, investing, and retirement: taxes. For many people, the subject of taxes can bring about feelings of confusion, anxiety, and dread. The goal of this chapter is to shine a light on this topic, to demystify the basic concepts of the United States income tax system, and to transform that feeling of intimidation into one of understanding. We must begin with our most important disclaimer of the series. The U.S. tax code is thousands of pages long, incredibly complex, and the laws are constantly changing. This chapter is a highly simplified, conceptual overview for educational purposes only. It is not, and should not be considered, tax advice or legal advice. For preparing and filing your own tax return, you should always use reputable tax software or consult with a qualified tax professional, such as a certified public accountant, CPA, or an enrolled agent, who can analyze your specific situation. First, why do we even have taxes? At its core, tax revenue is what funds the country. It pays for public services we all use, such as roads and bridges, public schools, national defense, and social programs. When you file an income tax return each year, you are helping to determine if you paid the correct amount of tax throughout the year based on your income. The foundation of your tax return is a simple formula. You start with your total income, you subtract various things to find your taxable income, you calculate the tax on that income, and then you subtract any credits to find your final bill. Let's define the key pieces of that puzzle. First, we have deductions. A deduction is an amount of money that you are legally allowed to subtract from your gross income. The purpose of a deduction is to lower the amount of your income that is subject to tax. There are two main ways to take deductions. The first is the standard deduction. This is a fixed dollar amount, determined by the government each year, that you can deduct, no questions asked. The amount you get depends on your filing status. For example, single, married filing jointly, or head of household. The majority of Americans use the standard deduction because of its simplicity. The second option is to itemize deductions. This is where you add up a list of specific, eligible expenses. Common examples include home mortgage interest, state and local taxes up to a certain limit, and charitable contributions. You would choose to itemize only if your total of all eligible itemized deductions is greater than the standard deduction for your filing status. You take whichever one saves you more money. After you've subtracted deductions, you arrive at your taxable income. The tax is calculated on this number. And then we come to our next key term: tax credits. A tax credit is even more powerful than a deduction. While a deduction reduces your taxable income, a tax credit is a dollar-for-dollar reduction of your actual tax bill. For example, a $1,000 tax credit will reduce the amount of tax you owe by the full $1,000. Common examples of credits relate to having children, paying for higher education, or saving for retirement. Now for the most misunderstood concept in U.S. income taxes: tax brackets. The U.S. has a progressive, marginal tax system. This is a critical concept. It does not mean that if you are in the 22% tax bracket, you pay 22% on all of your income. That is a myth. Here's how it really works. Think of your income filling up a series of buckets. The first bucket, the first portion of your income up to a certain amount, is taxed at the lowest rate, say 10%. Once that first bucket is full, any additional income you earn spills over into the next bucket, which is taxed at the next highest rate, say 12%. Then, any income that fills up that bucket and spills over is taxed at the next rate, perhaps 22%, and so on. Your tax bracket simply refers to the rate that is applied to your last dollar of taxable income. Most of your income is actually taxed at the lower rates of the buckets it filled up first. This system is designed so that people who earn more money pay a progressively higher rate on their higher earnings. Finally, you'll often encounter a few key forms. When you start a new job, you fill out a W-4 form. This form tells your employer how much tax to withhold from each of your paychecks. At the end of the year, your employer sends you a W-2, which is a summary of how much you earned and how much tax was already withheld and paid on your behalf. If you do freelance work or have other sources of income, you might receive 1099 forms. All of this information is then used to file your Form 1040, which is the standard U.S. individual income tax return. Understanding these basic building blocks, deductions, credits, and the marginal tax bracket system, demystifies the entire process. It helps you understand what your tax professional is talking about, and how your financial decisions can impact your tax situation. We have now covered a vast amount of ground, from the psychology of money to the practicalities of taxes. In our final chapter, we will bring all these lessons together. We will review the key pillars of lifelong financial wellness, and discuss how to continue learning and growing long after this guide is over. You're nearing the end of this foundational journey. Let's finish strong. I'll see you in the final chapter. Welcome back for the final chapter of our guide. If you have journeyed with us from the very beginning, from chapter 1 to today, I want to offer my sincere and heartfelt congratulations. You have given yourself one of the most powerful and enduring gifts possible. The gift of knowledge and the power of a plan. You have chosen to be the architect of your financial future. Over the course of this series, we have covered a vast amount of ground. Let's take a moment to look back not just at the topics, but at the fundamental pillars of financial wellness you have built. First, you took control. You started with the most important tool, your mindset. You then took the brave step of creating a financial snapshot to know your starting line. You learned to track your money, not with judgment, but with curiosity. And you used that knowledge to create a budget, transforming it from a word of restriction into a plan for freedom. You moved from being a passive passenger in your financial life to being the driver. Second, you built a strong defense. You learned the critical importance of an emergency fund, your financial shock absorber that protects you from life's unexpected bumps. You demystified the world of insurance, understanding its role as a shield to protect you, your family, and everything you're working to build from catastrophic risk. Third, you created a plan for offense. You faced the topic of debt head-on, creating a strategy to manage it. You learned how your credit score works, empowering you to build a positive financial reputation. And you opened the door to long-term wealth creation by understanding the foundational concepts of investing and the powerful, tax-advantaged retirement accounts designed to help you prepare for your future. And finally, you learned to plan with purpose. You discovered how to set powerful, smart goals for major milestones like homeownership and education. You demystified the basics of the U.S. tax system, understanding the rules of the road. You have assembled a complete toolkit for personal finance. If there is one single lesson to take away from this entire guide, it is this: financial wellness is not about being perfect. It is about being intentional. It is about progress, not perfection. It is the understanding that small, consistent, positive financial actions, repeated over a long period of time, are what lead to extraordinary results. So, the most important question is, where do you go from here? Because this guide was never meant to be a finish line. It was meant to be the starting block. Financial literacy is a lifelong pursuit. Here are a few ideas to continue your journey. First, stay curious. The world of finance is always changing. Continue to learn. Read well-regarded books on personal finance. Listen to reputable podcasts from trusted financial educators. The more you learn, the more confident you will become. Second, automate your good habits. We talked about paying yourself first, and this is your key to effortless progress. Automate your contributions to your savings accounts. Automate your investments into your retirement accounts. Automate your bill payments. Use technology to make your positive financial choices the default, easy path. Third, conduct regular financial check-ins. Once a year, set aside time to review your progress. Update your net worth statement. Review your budget and see if it still aligns with your life. Check in on your financial goals. Are you on track? Do your goals need to be adjusted? Treat it like an annual health checkup for your money. And finally, as we conclude, let us revisit the most important principle of this entire series, one last time. Know when to seek professional help. This guide was designed to be your map, to teach you the language of personal finance and the layout of the terrain. But for navigating your unique, personal journey, the expertise of a qualified and licensed professional is invaluable. Armed with the knowledge you now possess, you can have incredibly effective and confident conversations with a financial planner, a tax advisor, an insurance agent, or a real estate professional. You are no longer in the dark. You can ask smart questions and understand their advice on a deeper level. Your financial future is not a destination you suddenly arrive at one day. It is a journey you will be on for the rest of your life. But you are no longer wandering. You now have a map. You have a compass. And you have the skills to navigate the path ahead. The direction you choose is up to you. Thank you for investing your time and attention with us. The journey to financial confidence, freedom, and peace of mind has truly begun. Go forward and build the future you deserve.
Disclaimer: the information presented is for informational purposes only and is not professional financial, investment, or tax advice. All investments involve risk and may result in partial or total loss. You should always conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any financial decisions. By viewing this video, you agree not to hold the creator liable for any loss or damage arising from your use of the information provided.